Future Market has thousands of board games at discounted prices. Click the direct link below to see all of those discounted games. Hello my friends, Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to be traveling down the river, and as we're doing that we're going to be gathering and creating glass. We're going to be using that with all different glass shapes. Today we're taking a look at River Valley Glassworks. This is from Allplay. Let me show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. At the beginning of the game, you're going to select one of these cute little creatures that you're going to be for the game. And over the course of the game, you're going to be gathering different types of the shapes of glass. Now, they're not actually glass, but they're supposed to be glass, and they're different shapes and different colors. You're going to be trying to collect these to score points in the end. Now, every player has a board matching their little character. And again, you're trying to put the glass in set collection. Each column is only going to have glass of one color. So this one, they had gotten 3 light blues and all these whites. And as you get more and more of things, if there's already one in that column, that's where they go. Because at the end of the game, you look at each row. And this is an unbroken row left to right. So this row gets me 22 points. This one's broken, unbroken left to right, stops here, gets me 11 points. This one stops here because this chain is broken, so this one's only going to get me 2 points, and these two don't get me anything because there's nothing in the first row to the left. But then at the end, you're also going to look at your best 2 columns. This is my best column, and I get 10 points because that's the last one I covered. These 2 columns are tied, so you take the one that has the lower score, that has 16 points. That one would have got me 20 if this was not here. So you look at your top 2 best columns that you filled, every row unchained. That's mainly your points at the end of the game. That's what you're trying to do. So obviously, if you build down further, the more points you'll get, you go up, and it's also harder to get things down here and to build up as well. Now, how do you go about doing this? Well, there is a river, and by the way, this is the deluxe edition that comes with a neoprene mat and some nicer components and such. And you're going to be trying to gather these different pieces of glass. Now, each player has a pan, and they're going to start with 3 pieces of glass, and basically you can hold up to 5 there. So on your turn, most of the time what you're going to do is you're going to take one of these, and I'm going to match up the symbols on this tile with what I place there. So this is this shape, it matches. So I place it here, but then I get to take all the pieces from either the one next to it here or next to it here. So you use this to match, and then you pull one of these. So I will pull both of these like this, and I get to decide how to put these if they're not on my board yet. This shows you which ones are more common, which colors are more rare. So maybe I do something like this. These are about the same, but you get to decide if it's your first time getting that color, how you go. You always go left to right though. Then the tile that was taken comes out, this slides down, this goes like this, and we look at the stones on the one next to it, and we grab one stone, place it here, and there is a nice little cloth bag here to get the things out. That's pretty much it. The other thing you can do when getting glass is you can put 2 of the same shape. So this one's circle, I could put 2 circles here, but now I could empty out any single one, doesn't matter where it is. So basically it's like 2 wilds of the same can get you any one tile's glass there. The other thing you can do instead of placing glass and gathering it is to draw. And at the end there's a little pond here, and you take any 4 of these. So let's say maybe you say 1, 2, 3, 4. You take these and you place them on your pan. But remember, you can only hold a max of 5. I have more than 5. I have to discard one down here, and this is always going to give you -3 points at the end of the game. Also, as you're going up, if you ever fill up a column and you have to take more, or there's actually one more color than there are columns, if you take a color that doesn't fit on your board, they also go here. So you don't want to overproduce, because that's going to be minus as well. And then that simply gets replaced. Now this helps track how many pieces of glass you have on your board, and once somebody gets 17 or more, essentially that triggers the end of the game. The player's going to get another turn, and then you go to the final scoring that I already showed you. There's also a mini expansion available, River Glass and Other Sundries. This essentially adds 6 little modules that you can expand your game. I think you select any 2 of them to add to your game. It just gives you some more things to think about, some more depth. I highly recommend having this with the base game. All right, first thing I like about this game, beautiful production and art. Now, I must say, the one I showed on camera, I did mention the overview, but this is a deluxe edition. There's 2 different editions. There's the standard edition. The deluxe edition is about twice the price. But it comes with, some unique spotting UV, gold foil box, the neoprene playmat, the acrylic river tiles as opposed to just like sort of plastic ones, a deluxe bag that actually stands on its own, the dual layer boards to hold the pieces so they don't slide around. That's probably the best part about it. The screen printed meeples. So this was the deluxe edition, but even without it, it does have great production. The art is super cute and it's just well done. This is sort of a simple Azul style mechanism. It's less mean than Azul. If you liked Azul and you're like, ooh, I like the aspect of grabbing the pieces and seeing what's out there and guess what my opponent's gonna do and pivoting and putting all these things and lining these sets up. If you like that of Azul, but you hated getting stuck taking a ton of negative tiles, this might be one to check out for you because, again, it's got that simple Azul feeling, but it's less mean than Azul. It's less purposely. You can't totally screw somebody like you can in Azul. I like that you don't want to overflow your columns with too many of one color or too many of the colors, because there's actually more colors than you can fit on your board, because it goes to negative points. So I like that you can't just willy-nilly go all over the place. You still have to be somewhat constrained and cognizant of that. I like that you're working on rows and columns, and that the colors have different amounts of them. There's some that are more rare than others, and so there's different things to think about. Do you want to put the ones that are more rare all the way to the end? That means you're going to get a lot of points from going from the rows down because they're going to be a little bit easier to get to, but you're not going to get the huge points in the columns. Or do you go the other route where you put the ones that are more rare on the first, like on the left sides? That's going to make it a lot harder to get your rows to score because you might not get those again, but you might get the easier ones down to the bottom, and that might be able to go up tall. So it's interesting. You can kind of go either way. It just depends on what's out there, what the game throws at you. I like that you only score the 2 highest columns, and the tie is the less value, because you're really trying to. Sometimes you're taking things like, oh, I don't want to tie this because then it's going to be the column on the left. It really constrains you to the point where it doesn't feel punishing, but it does feel like a tough little puzzle to try to figure out. And again, the glass rarity really makes a big difference here. Sometimes you can have some games where like even the rare ones almost never come out in a smaller player game. And it can throw some things off, especially if some people went for the rare ones early on the left side and they're both fighting for it and you might not see another one for the rest of the game. That has happened in a player mind. Sometimes that can happen, but just know they're rare. There's not a lot of those in there. It would have been nice if they actually kind of showed the number of those, like X3, X4, X10, next to the colors on the player board. That would help people out a little bit. Like, well, how many of those yellows are there? I like that. Sometimes it feels like a race because it's like, oh, the first one to get to 17 ends the thing. But sometimes going slower can be better. If you build better than other people and you're not just taking glass, because if you go fast and rush into the game, you might not win. You may or may not, depending on did you get the colors and the stacking the way you needed. I've seen people be the person that's 2 or 3 glass ahead of everyone else and not win because they just willy-nilly thought, oh, just getting the most glass is always going to be best. It's not, because you could screw yourself up and score columns and tie columns and get less points for things and things like that. So I like that slower can be better, even though it feels like a race. Another thing is I like the little mini expansion that I showed there at the very end, the 6 different modules. You play with, I think, 2 of them each time. That adds a ton. That adds a lot of depth. Really changes the way you think each game about like what thing might be more valuable to you for certain reasons because of an ability or the way it scores or things like that. I highly recommend. This is one of those things where like I will always play with the mini expansions. Maybe not if I'm teaching someone for the first time. But once someone knows how to play a game, I will absolutely throw this in after the first play for them because it really adds a lot of depth to the game. Any negatives about the game? I always hate it when a game overstays its welcome. I'm always like, I'd rather have a game end too soon, than overstay its welcome. This game almost ends too soon, to the point where it almost feels too fast. 17 pieces of glass in someone's board comes really fast. And I like that it does end a little too soon. Again, I would prefer that as opposed to being able to do too much. I like that it's like, oh, it gives you tension, like you can't get all the things done, you really gotta focus. But at the same time, I do wish it was like 1 or 2 more turns longer. It still would feel tight, like maybe 18 or 19 pieces of glass. 17 almost feels like, oh my gosh, it is almost over before you know it. Again, I'd rather have that than have it go too long, but it almost feels like it should have been 1 or 2 more glass pieces longer. Also, the game can feel a little bit samey after a handful of plays without the mini expansions. Again, it is a puzzle. Every game's going to be different depending on what comes out and how they come out and what you have. The puzzle's going to be different every time what you're doing, but the overall arching, since the rows and columns always stay the same points-wise, it can stay, the overall strategy can feel a little samey without the mini expansions. I almost would like to, in addition to the mini expansions, I'd like to see them come out with different boards or different inserts for the boards that would give you like different ways to score. Like maybe your middle column is worth more, maybe like the middle column is worth the most, and the ones on the ends don't, they slopes out. All these different ways where people just all pick one board and everyone plays with the same board, that changes the way things score, both rows and columns every round. That would really give this game a lot more legs, even without the other mini expansion. But that's an idea I think I'd like to see them, to make it feel like every game your strategy is going to be different, in addition to the puzzle, the tacticalness. So that's it. That's the River Valley Glassworks. Overall, if you like the Azul style quick games, very fast. This game is so fast. It says 20 to 45 minutes. It's never taking more than 30 minutes. It's more like 20 to 25. This game's fast. It's one of those ones that you'll play probably at least twice in a row because it is so fast. And I think by this you should know if you enjoy it. This has been the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships with board games by helping you find the next one you love.
Game Toppers upgrades every game you play, and their Christmas spectacular sale is currently running, where you can get 15% off all accessories and premium game mats with storage solutions, $100 off leg kits with a purchase of a Holmes or Watson Game Topper, and $75 off all dining covers. The sale runs through December 22nd at GameToppersLLC.com.